That, things were so different then. It's not that today's better or worse, they were just so different. But I guess I was slowly becoming a marketing person. I wasn't, nobody had to take me kicking and screaming into the marketing genre, but I was learning slowly. My foray into this communications career started my senior year in high school. And it was towards the end of my senior year in high school. And an English teacher, Mrs. Hodge, said to me after I wrote a paper, she said, "Did you ever think about journalism?" And I said, being a senior in high school in those days, I hadn't thought about much of anything. I didn't even think I could afford to go to college. And so she said, "Well, you should think about that." She said, "Maybe you might want to start out on a newspaper. You can get a lot of experience." So, and I don't even remember how I received the opportunity to be a reporter for the hometown newspaper. But I did, and I learned and I advanced. And before I could advance further, I ended up in military service, because most of us did back then. And I was overseas for 2 years. And some of my experience while I was in military service was to file stories for the daily military newspaper, which is the Stars and Stripes. And so from that experience and my little bit of experience as a teenager working on a newspaper after high school, I came back from service, went back to that same newspaper, but was only there a couple months, in the college in my hometown was looking for a sports information director. And it was marketing and communications in the early 70s, and still I had never encountered people who were quote-unquote marketing people. In fact, it might have been until the early 80s before I really seriously considered what marketing was all about, or worked in it, or represented clients for marketing. The year I got there, the radio station that carried our broadcasts asked for a meeting. And I'm sure, we'll meet. And they said, "Well, we want to market the team, and we have a slogan." But the slogan that they wanted for the team was "Roaring Back." I said, "Okay, great." It didn't mean anything to me, all right? Next thing I know, one of our players' image, and the big letters all over town, billboards and everything else, "Roaring Back, San Francisco 49ers," right? And so season starts, and this terrible team wins its first 4 games. Shocked everybody. We were 4-0, first place, right? And I mean, the town went nuts. The crowds came back to Candlestick Park. We finally had sellouts after 10 years, and it was really exciting. Exciting for me. I was still a young man then. And I thought, wow, this marketing stuff, at the radio station came up with, I need to pay more attention to that. We proceeded at that point to lose 7 in a row. And the newspaper headlines were things like "Roaring Backwards." So what I learned from that was, be careful with what you create as a so-called marketing campaign or team slogan or group slogan or any of that other, because it can backfire on you. You have to be very careful. I can't tell you that I'm a marketing expert in many ways. The opportunity that was available to me to return to my home state in Ohio was with a major advertising agency. They're not called this anymore, but in those days it was Hemmerhoff, Millenthal, Spence, and they were the biggest agency in central Ohio, and they had national clients, big-time clients. They had the Air Force, they had brands for Procter & Gamble. They had the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Ohio. And they were looking for somebody to handle a sports account for their Crest toothpaste brand, for Procter & Gamble's Crest toothpaste brand. And they were looking for, a quote-unquote sports guy. So there I was a PR guy. I'd been a newspaper guy. I had been a pro football employee. And suddenly I was a sports guy. So I ended up doing a lot of marketing there, a program that had to do with raising money for children in families that couldn't afford health insurance. I had a marketing communications agency in Columbus, Ohio, and then later in Dayton, Ohio for 11 years. And I thought we could just do communications work, PR work, which we did a ton of that. But invariably, our good clients, and we had Verizon Wireless, we had McGraw-Hill, their children's book division, several great clients. In so many of these kinds of positions, communications jobs or communications related positions, you're so busy on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I don't have a master's degree or a PhD because I was working, and by then I had a family, and you had to, I just never thought about going back and getting degreed further. All I could think about was the day-to-day work. So actually the answer is no, I really, at that point, still wasn't concerned about how much I knew about marketing or didn't know. Mm-hmm. Gratifying is the people that do like your work. And the most difficult thing for me is not to be overly sensitive when people don't like something we've developed. And they say so. And people can tend to be more negative than positive, you know that. And so we don't often get good feedback. We often get nothing but, oh, yeah, it's okay, or, yeah, I didn't like that, You just roll with it.